Hello, and welcome to Badger Talks Live, which brings exciting happenings, resources, and talent from your UW flagship campus to the people of Wisconsin and beyond. I'm Cynthia Brandt, a junior in the personal finance program within the School of Human Ecology. I'm originally from right here in Madison, Wisconsin, and I've had the privilege of being an intern in the Equity and Justice Network under the direction of Dr. Dilworth-Bart. During the month of October, Badger Talks Live is pleased to highlight some of the trending topics coming from the UW-Madison School of Human Ecology. I'm honored to introduce Dr. Janean Dilworth-Bart, Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs and Graduate Education, and Professor of Human Development and Family Studies. She also chairs the School of Human Ecology's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. Today, Janean will be providing insight on the Equity and Justice Network, which she leads, and providing updates on its goals, progress, and plans for the future. Her scholarship contributes to basic knowledge about early childhood development and has direct implications for addressing the persistent opportunity gaps associated with race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic class. Since 2020, Janean has received funding from Wisconsin Department of Health's Maternal Child Health Program, the School of Human Ecology, and the UW Prevention Research Center to engage in maternal child health related outreach, identifying critical issues facing children in the prenatal to 5 developmental period, and supporting the professionals who serve them and their families. She received a master's and a PhD in psychology from Rutgers University. Janean will be answering questions at the end of the presentation, but feel free to post questions in the chat at any point. Please welcome Dr. Janean Dilworth-Bart.
Thank you, Cynthia. I really appreciate that introduction. And like Cynthia said, she was one of our inaugural Equity and Justice interns just this past spring, and it's just been a fabulous experience, and hopefully for her, but also for me, that I'll talk about a little bit later on. Before I begin, I want to read this acknowledgement. The University of Wisconsin-Madison occupies ancestral Ho-Chunk land, a place their nation has called Dajope since time immemorial. In an 1832 treaty, the Ho-Chunk were forced to cede this territory. Decades of ethnic cleansing followed when both the federal and state government repeatedly but unsuccessfully sought to forcibly remove the Ho-Chunk from Wisconsin. This history of colonization informs our shared future of collaboration and innovation. Today, UW-Madison respects the inherent sovereignty of the Ho-Chunk Nation, along with the 11 other First Nations of Wisconsin. So I'm not a native Wisconsinner. I am from the East Coast. And one of the great surprises about UW and about Wisconsin when you come here is the Wisconsin idea that education should influence people's lives beyond the boundaries of the classroom, beyond the boundaries of the state, beyond the boundaries of the country. That's just very exciting to hear that spoken. And the other thing that we value here at UW is diversity as a source of strength and creativity and innovation, and how understanding others who are different than ourselves broadens our worldview and makes us more competitive in the job market. Now, I'm here in the UW in the School of Human Ecology. For those of you who've been on campus, if you're trying to think of where is the School of Human Ecology, it's between Van Hise and the Ag School. So it's right there on Linden Drive. It's a beautiful building. If you haven't been here, come visit us and take a look in our bathrooms. We have more than just bathrooms, but we're known for our really exciting Nature Calls bathrooms on the first floor. We've got a wonderful child development center, a textile collection, lots of great things going on here. But oftentimes people don't know what is human ecology. So human ecology is an applied human science, and we answer the questions, we study everyday life. And so For students who come here as undergrads, they might be interested in our undergraduate majors in personal finance or consumer behavior and marketplace studies, community and nonprofit leadership, human development and family studies, that's the department I'm in, interior architecture, or textiles and fashion design. And the key is that we are an applied science here in human ecology. So we do science for the purpose of impacting everyday life. And a part of our training and a part of our developing of ourselves as scholars and the developing of our students is understanding that introducing ourselves and our students to training in equity and diversity helps us gain understanding of other cultures, and it builds community here within our institution. So a couple of years ago, my Dean Soyan Shim, asked us here in the school to combine our interests and our dedication to the Wisconsin idea and our interest in human ecology and our belief in equity and fairness into something new. How are we going to lean into this issue, these issues that are facing us today? And so she challenged us to create the Human Ecology, Equity, and Justice Network. So today, what I'm going to talk about, I have the great opportunity to talk about really what we're doing here in the school. I get to talk about my colleagues. I have a great bunch of colleagues, and I get to talk about the work that we're doing related to equity and justice. And our overarching goals are to support people of diverse backgrounds as they find success, to share our knowledge, and to collaborate towards advancing fairness. So when I talk about the network, I'm talking about 3 interrelated activities or issues that we're interested in. So engaging with this network is open to anyone here in the school, regardless of their background. Really, there is, as long as they have that dedication to promoting equity, promoting justice, promoting inclusion. And so we have these 3 things that we're doing, and they're related to one another. First is scholarly communities. So first, we want to promote scholarship. We do that through providing seed money for projects and projects that build community across our different departments here, so we can have a lot of cross-collaborating work. And so we build a collaborative community among people who share a common goal of enhancing one or more historically marginalized or underrepresented group. And that marginalized or underrepresented group, when we think about that, we're thinking about, yes, race, ethnicity, we're thinking about gender, generational status. Is someone a first-generation college student, the first person in their family to go to undergraduate or graduate school? So we want to promote community in that with those groups, or people who have interest in working with those groups. And then there's academic pathways. We wanted to support the development of students and faculty from these underrepresented groups and first-generation scholars. And then the third is just action. And with just action, it's taking what we learn here in the university and taking it out into the community, really engaging with our Wisconsin idea. So working out with people throughout Wisconsin on various topics related to justice and equity. So now I get to talk about some of the things that we've been doing. I'm really excited about. So first, academic pathways. Just a note for those of you who haven't been in the building, the picture here is of our collaborative learning classroom, 2335. It's this great technologically advanced classroom. It's a large classroom. It's a really beautiful space. So academic pathways. So if I were to think along the multiple stages of development for a student or a faculty member, it's undergraduate or even high school and middle school, graduate students and faculty at the faculty level. And so at each of these stages in the academic pathways part of the network, we have different activities. So one of my aspirations is to increase tribal college outreach. Some are tribal colleges, the two in the state of Wisconsin, in Wisconsin, are have two-year degrees and some four-year degrees. But for students who might be interested in completing a four-year degree, it would be great to do some outreach and talk about what's going on here in human ecology here at UW. The Summer Institute that I'll talk about a little bit later, and then the internship that I'll describe some of our activities from this past spring. And one of my other aspirations is to create additional partnerships between minority serving institutions and the School of Human Ecology. Our graduate student academic pathway, one of the great things that we have is called a GERS community, our Graduate Research Scholars Community. The GERS, these are students who have a Graduate Research Scholarship, Graduate Research Scholars Fellowship. These are funded from the State of Wisconsin Advanced Opportunity Program and the Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation. And we bring students together over the course of their graduate programming for a range of career development, social, academic, and research-related activities. And so students who access the GERS Fellowship are students who might be first-generation college students, students from historically underrepresented groups. Currently, we have 22 GERS scholars here in the School of Human Ecology. We've also been able to give dissertator completion fellowships. So students who are doing work related to equity and justice and who just need a little extra time, a little push to complete their graduate work, complete those last stages of their dissertation, we're able to provide funding for them for that. There's also project assistantships and research support at the graduate level. And then for faculty who may be interested in incorporating some equity and justice goals to their scholarship or their teaching, this is an opportunity to receive small amounts of funding to support that professional development. So one of the academic pathways activities that I'm really excited to talk about was really conducted by Cynthia, who introduced me, who was one of our spring interns. And this was a fabulous experience to have. You know, we're always busy as faculty members and as people. We always have lots of work to do. And our students are busy too. And especially coming off of the experience of the pandemic, having this internship and being able to learn where the students were, what the students' needs were, it was really informative. And so what Cynthia and her partner did is that they had a series of events. So one, this past spring, they had open study drop-ins for students. There were two events. Four study drop-ins, two in the mid-semester and two at the end of the semester, and the students had snacks. There was just an open space to be with people. And this is something that our students were missing, the opportunity to be with one another. And then information, different resources that students might need. And the other thing that our undergraduate interns did was they conducted what we called neighborhood chats. And these were spaces with just students and student-led for students to share their experiences. What were some of their needs? What were some of the things that they perhaps would like to see more of? They collected surveys, they collected interview or qualitative data, just doing some focus groups to really understand how can we make the School of Human Ecology a more inclusive space. And that was a wonderful experience for me to learn about our students. And I hope it was a wonderful experience for our interns as well. Our big event this past summer, this was back in June, was our Equity and Justice inaugural Summer Institute. So for the Summer Institute, we made connections with 3 historically Black colleges and universities: North Carolina A&T, Elizabeth City State University, and Johnson C. Smith University. These are all in North Carolina. and then also students from UW. And we had a 5-day experience for students to come here to the School of Human Ecology to learn about what is graduate school, what could I do with a graduate degree. For those of you who, I'm going to use the term HBCU, but historically Black colleges and universities are mainly land-grant universities, established prior to 1964. These are cultural institutions within African-American communities. And currently, 25% of the students who attend HBCUs are not African-American. So now they're much more diverse institutions. And we had an opportunity to bring students here to learn about UW and to learn about life in Madison. So some of the things that we talked about, the basic question, why pursue a graduate degree? What are the graduate degrees? What's a PhD versus getting an MBA or a master's degree? So we talked about, what are the different degrees and why would you get them? What kind of job can you get with a degree? How would you pay for graduate education? So we talked about that as well. We talked to the students about how to identify what they were interested in, and then how to write a statement. We had these wonderful networking events. So our students who came to visit were able to meet with faculty from across campus, able to tour Madison, took a field trip to Milwaukee, and we had a mock professional conference. Our students also got headshots. So it was a really good professional experience for the students to have. And one of the things that we learned coming out here and that I'm looking forward to doing is having similar workshops specifically here in the School of Human Ecology for our own human ecology students as well. So now I want to transition to talking a little bit about our Just Action activities. So one of the things that we did, and our scholarly communities. So with our Just Action, one of the things that we had challenged ourselves as departments to do. So there are 4 academic departments within the school: Human Development and Family Studies, Consumer Science, Design Studies, and Civil Society and Community Studies. So we have those 4 departments. And we challenged ourselves every year to commit to 1 to 3 specific actions that promote equity, inclusion, and justice that we could complete throughout the academic year. And so this was not saying that we want to recruit people. It's like, what can we do internally to make our school a more equitable and just place? And I'm really excited about the progress that each of our departments made. For example, our Civil Society and Community Studies has monthly Power Up lunches. And these are lunches for students who are undergraduates here in the school, or some from around campus who just want to get together and have a sense of community building. In consumer science, we did, the consumer science department did a series of first generation student focus groups. So what are the needs of the students from outstate Wisconsin who might be the first people in their family who have gone to university? What needs do they have? So we had focus groups to ask those students, how could we make their undergraduate experience stronger? Our design studies department had a equity and justice speaker series where they brought in speakers, some either virtually or in person, to talk about their work as designers and as makers in equity and justice related areas. And then in human development and family studies, this department decided to really review what's our curriculum? What is the curriculum? How does our curriculum compare to other institutions? And then how can we enhance it? And we have some really exciting Just Action activities that I'd like to just share with you. So we had our inaugural Community Leader in Residence program. And for our first community leader, we had Indigenous Two-Spirit artist and organizer, Nibi Wakwamakwe, join with the executive director of the Center for Design and Material Culture, Sarah Carter, Professor Sarah Carter. They joined together to create a workshop, From Cultural Appropriation to Cultural Appreciation, a workshop for designers, researchers, and community members. So this was a really exciting opportunity for someone within the academy, within the university, to work with someone in the community with the resources that we have in both spaces. Here in human ecology, we have a 13,000 object Helen Louise Allen textile collection. And so the question was, what are the ways that artists and designers can learn through the use of Indigenous objects, like what we have here in the textile collection, while honoring the people, the histories, and the knowledge systems that created those things, and continue to give them meaning. And so it was a really exciting workshop that is continuing to move forward. So along with another artist and cultural appropriation researcher, Dakota Masse, and an interdisciplinary team within the school, Nibi Wakwamakwe and Professor Carter have been able to develop a curriculum. They're developing a curriculum about cultural appropriation. So this is a very exciting. I'm very excited about the potential contribution. And then looking forward, the group is going to work with additional faculty members and graduate students. Professor Carol Lee Dodge Francis, who's a member of our Civil Society and Community Studies program, and Joseph John, who is an Indigenous scholar here in the school, to evaluate, to see how effective is this workshop in helping people learn about cultural appropriation, how to work with Indigenous objects in a way that is respectful. So it's very exciting. Looking forward to that. Another outreach project that's very exciting that's going on in the school is being led by Dr. Alvin Thomas, who is a faculty member here in Human Development and Family Studies. So he's got the Black Fatherhood podcast, where you can find wherever you listen to podcasts. So you see over there on your screen, you can find it available at a number of different places. So this podcast explores a range of topics central to Black fatherhood. The conversations bring together scholars and experts to examine the historical context, benefits, and current societal factors influencing Black fatherhood and offering key insights. So Professor Thomas is the founder and the host of the series. And the podcast began in June 2022. There were 2 episodes, one for fatherhood and one for Juneteenth. And so they're continuing to update those episodes. It's really exciting moving forward. This is a partnership between the School of Human Ecology and UW Extension. And so one of the other beauties of being here on the Madison campus is our close connection to Extension. So that's really exciting as well. I say exciting a lot, and I apologize for that, but it's really nice to see the work. You know, it's wonderful to be in the place that I'm in, where I get to brag about my colleagues' work. So I'm coming close to the point where if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, I can, but I want to talk a little bit about just some other funded projects that we have going on that I'm not going to dive too deeply in. For example, Assistant Professor Maggie Kerr has used some Equity and Justice Network funding to develop and refine an anti-racist parenting toolkit and training program. Together, Professors Nancy Wong and Lydia Ashton have been doing research on improving understanding and access to Social Security Administration benefits for BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, and people of color applicants and beneficiaries. In another partnership with UW Extension, Jen Gaddis, who is in the Civil Society and Community Studies program, is examining engaging Wisconsin youth in reimagining school meals and food justice in their communities. This is exciting work that she's been doing along with a graduate student. We're looking forward to hearing all that comes out of that project. And then Casey Keeler, also in civil society and community studies, is doing work at the Bassett Creek Oral History Project, where she is gathering oral histories about the Bassett Creek area. So what am I looking forward to? So much. Like I said before, I'm looking forward to, in the future, engaging in some tribal college outreach and creating these how to get into graduate school workshops. I'm really looking forward to ways to talk about graduate education with our UW students and talk about graduate education here at UW for students from minority serving institutions and from historically Black colleges and universities, and with students who are first generation college students as well. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Providing more opportunities for fellowships and funding for students who are here at the graduate level. I'm not currently having a cohort of interns, but I'm looking to forward to having interns like Cynthia again in the future. It's really been a wonderful experience to work with her. And in the future, want to look forward to continuing to have some sort of virtual or live in-person graduate school fairs. So as I close, I want to honor the memory of Elizabeth Holloway Shar. Elizabeth was a 1975 graduate of the Family and Consumer Journalism program, and was honored with a naming gift, the Dean's naming gift. In her memory, Elizabeth Shar passed away at the age of 65 in 2018. And it is through her naming gift that we're able to do a lot of the work that we're doing with the Equity and Justice Network. And so I want to thank her and thank those people who contributed to that naming gift. And like Elizabeth says, it is possible to bring justice to a population. And we're really grateful for her work and what this naming gift has provided us. And on that note, thank you very much.
Wow. And I will echo your words of exciting, because it is exciting work, Janine. I think we've learned so much coming out of the School of Human Ecology this month. And, you know, you think about some of the other schools and colleges where somebody's majoring in geology or somebody's majoring in some of these things that are really easily defined and we understand it. We've learned so much about so many broad things and such impressive work here. So thanks so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Fran Paleo-Moyer, Badger Talks producer. We're talking with Dr. Janine Dilworth-Bart about the Human Ecology, Equity, and Justice Network. Feel free to post any questions in the chat. I do have a few questions for you. Oh, wait, sorry. We have a question here from Stephanie. Does the Equity and Justice Network impact involve folks at the staff level? Is the anti-racist parenting program toolkit mentioned available to the public?
Oh, great questions. So staff are, okay, I'm going to tell you, without our staff are the backbone of the school. So I've been really grateful to, when we talk about all of these projects, they don't happen without the input and the support of staff. And so we have gotten interest from staff members here in the school, like, well, you know, I would like to engage in this and I would like to engage in that. So those opportunities are becoming more and more available. And our staff members are an intricate part of the team in making any of this happen. In terms of the anti-racist toolkit, that's an excellent question. It's in development. What's wonderful is that I think you can contact any of our professors. Are happy to talk about their work. Professor Kerr, about whether or not that curriculum is readily available for distribution. But it is going through the development and testing phase. So I am sure we can get you some insight on whether that curriculum is ready for public consumption. But I'm pretty sure that it's in the pilot phase.
Yeah, to echo Stephanie's question, this clearly could be a model for not just other departments on campus, but organizations all around the state. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens with that toolkit and what more can be shared from that. So just to clarify, this is specific, the undergraduate and graduate student engagement, though, is specific to the School of Human Ecology. Is that correct?
Sorry.
Oh, your lights went off. Yeah,
my lights went off.
Move your hands.
There we go. It's a green building. Yes. So to answer your question, this is work that we're doing specifically here in human ecology. Other units on campus are doing their efforts as well. This is the way that we're choosing to step into our role and responsibility in creating a more equitable and just world.
Wonderful. And then question about this amazing summer institute that you mentioned. So how did you select those colleges, presuming you selected them, or how did they get determined? And is that a relationship with that network that you will grow over the years, or are you looking to sort of work with different colleges on a year-by-year basis?
Okay. So for this pilot year, I had a colleague who was previously here at UW who moved to North Carolina A&T. And so that relationship was sort of easy to form. And we started branching out from there to develop those relationships with these, just to pilot it. You know, when we say we pilot, we're just like trying it out to see if this is feasible. And so these relationships were just through almost personal networking. It's like, we know that this institution would be very interested in this activity. Now, moving forward, one of the things that we did this summer is that we met with faculty here, from the institutions. We met with faculty and said, if we wanted to create something, how would we do it? And how would we do it in a way that keeps the intimate feeling of having, you know, three institutions, that they can really meet with faculty one-on-one, meet with graduate students one-on-one. And so we spent some time talking about how to create a model that is both sustainable and feasible over the long term. And so moving forward, we want to build out, but we want to build out not in a way that we lose that personal contact and that intimacy that we were able to provide the students, so that they could have a faculty member that knew them and could talk to them, that they could have a panel discussion with faculty who were like them, might have been the first person in their family to go to university and then to go to graduate school. So we, in some ways, we started with our small network of colleagues. And hopefully moving forward, like I said, we'll expand out into something more systematic.
That's really interesting. As you say, you mentioned sitting down with everybody and having these wonderful discussions. I think about our Discovery building, because our offices are situated across the street, and they have this incredible, well, pre-pandemic they did, I don't know if they're still doing it, where they all faculty and staff are invited to the middle of the building for afternoon tea to have active discussion. Yep. And I'm picturing that in your building. Is there something like that happening there?
Well, yeah, you know, we have great meeting spaces here. We have the Robin's Nest, of course, you can come over. And so it's a good place to sit and have a cup of coffee and meet with people. Lots of little comfy couches and cozy places to sit in the building and have conversation with people. It's a really nice place.
Yeah, and the bathrooms are legendary, like
I
you
know.
mentioned.
they are.
If you're curious, you have to check it out.
You have to check it out. Check out our gallery, you know, our textile collection. It's a pretty special place to be.
Excellent. I just have one other question and then a comment. So my ears perked up when you mentioned Sarah Carter's workshop, because we spoke with her a couple of weeks ago all about material culture and some of the awesome galleries there. But do faculty then specifically propose topics, or do they result out of this like larger discussion with larger groups of people that you were talking about?
So for like the community leader in residence. So yeah, so how that happened is one day we said, hey, if you were able to work with somebody out in the community, what kind of project would that be? And so we came up with a structure and said, hey, apply. If there's this idea, because one of the things that can be a challenge is when we talk about working across sectors, it can be a little bit of a challenge of how do you make that happen? And because the life cycle or the how the day works when you're a faculty member, being able to sit and think in your office for an hour. Not everybody has that privilege. And so how do we find a way to make it possible? And that's where the community leader in residence became really important. So created a structure and offered to faculty members saying, hey, if you have a partner that you would like to work with, and we can find some way to help them have that time where you can do a joint project that is outreach oriented, let us know. And that's how this fabulous workshop came about.
Okay, we have one more question posted. The Equity and Justice Network is very impressive, which we all concur. Are there any specific goals attached to the network? What does success look like in your opinion?
So, success in the network, there are, success is having a space where people from a variety of backgrounds, variety of abilities and experiences can see themselves as a member of the human ecology community and of the UW community. And they can see themselves coming here and getting the tools that they need to make a change in the world or be who they want to be in the world. So that's really my broad view of what the success of the network would be. And then there's those individual successes, like being able to have interns who created a space where students could be heard. That's a success. And students can say, yeah, I did this activity and I feel a stronger part of UW. I feel like I belong here. So that's the success. So there's those big successes. And then there are those individual successes that happen along the way.
Well, that's some beautiful work. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. Please keep up the important good work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to, that concludes our work with the School of Human Ecology and all the amazing things we learned about happening there. We're going to turn our sights now in the month of November to the new School of Computer, Data, and Information Sciences. And we're going to be kicking off on Friday, November 4th. In a conversation with the founding director, Tom Erickson, as well as Joan Schmidt, who's the American Family Insurance Distinguished Chair of Risk Management and Insurance. And they're going to be talking about the Creative Destruction Lab, which is a collaborative program that seeds and supports tech entrepreneurship. So please tune in for that. Visit us at badgertalks.wisc.edu. You can check out the podcast, Badger Talks podcast, hosted by Ben Rush. Always fun to tune in and hear what Ben has to say. See the upcoming schedule of live talks and other hosted public talks that are happening around the state. Sign up for our email list. consider a donation to Badger Talks. We are grant funded. And then you can search the roster of over 400 UW faculty and staff who've signed up to give talks around the state. And I do want to mention Alvin Thomas, Janine, is one of our signed up Badger Talk speakers. We can connect people with anybody on campus, but there are some faculty who say, yes, I want to do more outreach and engage, and they're signed up on our website. So Alvin, who you mentioned doing that Black Fatherhood podcast, which incidentally, we put a link in the chat to, he is one of our speakers. So if he or anyone else today that was referenced, we certainly can reach out and see if they would be willing to talk in your community or anybody else on issues that are important to you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you in November.